Did COVID permanently change how Americans view science? During the pandemic, millions of Americans just trusted governors and health officials for their word. They didn't even question the information that was being given to them. After we realized that a lot of these methods weren't working, we ended up finding out the truth and that we lost a lot of lives in the pandemic that was unnecessary. Today, we are extremely skeptical on where we get our information from and what is true, and it's causing harm all around. We are actually in a very dangerous situation. This isn't about telling you what to believe. It's about examining the evidence that led to one of the biggest shifts of public trust in modern history. A couple years ago, we were encouraged to do things like wear masks, stand 6 feet apart, and all these things that did not help us at all during this pandemic. We were told early on that we could get the virus from surface contact, and later on, we found that to be false and that it actually spreads through the air. People were trapped, quarantined in their house, staying together in their house, all giving it to each other. We also had what we were supposed to do with the vaccine changed multiple times. Everybody was confused. Because of our scientists and scientific research, we have been able to uncover what were lies and what we did wrong. The problem we face is that we had the government giving recommendations on what we should do to deal with viruses, instead of dealing with doctors and scientists, not listening to certain institutions that have an agenda and have something to push and are arguing with each other. They were arguing with each other, they weren't agreeing, so nobody knew who to believe. We were getting information from people that were not working directly with patients or the virus. The average person takes that as dishonesty, distrust. They take it as they don't know who to believe and somebody is lying. Anthony Fauci is right now the most controversial public figure in America. He's accused of misleading Congress in gain-of-function research. People are questioning the U.S. funding that went to the EcoHealth Alliance research. This research involved the Wuhan Institution of Virology, which is where the coronavirus is said to have came from, and Fauci was funding this research. So Fauci's in the hot seat right now. Fauci claimed that his research didn't meet the requirements of gain-of-function research. Regardless of where people stand, these controversies are fueling distrust between the public health institutions. Gain-of-function research is how you modify viruses to see how they evolve. They can make viruses infect cells differently, so something that only infected bats became something that infected humans. But the point of gain-of-function research is to make a vaccine before the outbreak occurs. But this type of science is very dangerous. We need vaccines that are actually a problem to humans, not a vaccine for something that wasn't a problem for humans, was turned into something that infects humans, and then we need a vaccine quick. And when the outbreak occurred, obviously there wasn't enough research to understand how viruses jump to different species. And gain-of-function does do the research on how the viruses jump to different species. But people really don't feel safe with this research being done because the people are at great risk. And most of this type of research is done in labs that report it as vaccine research, not gain-of-function research. This is where it's controversial to how Fauci reported his research. So what is the truth? Was the public misled? Between the mask, the transmission, the 6-foot distancing, the school closures, the vaccine expectations, the loss of jobs, the great effect to the American people, were they misled? This debate became one of the biggest reasons of why public trust declined. Trust declined for many reasons, not just one. Experts were publicly disagreeing. Social media was blocked. We were censored at this time. So we had this great feeling that we were being lied to and there was a narrative being pushed because people weren't allowed to talk about what they wanted. The people wanted to look for themselves. They wanted to do their own research and they were shut down to do that. And they think it's the scientists that shut them down. Being a scientist myself, I'm here to tell you it's not the scientists. There are certain scientific institutions, but that doesn't mean that scientists are lying to you. I am a scientist. I am here bringing you real information. I am here trying to get to the bottom of this just like you want to. And most scientists want good for humanity. There are certain institutions that are scientific institutions. They have power, they have money, and those are the ones that gave science a bad name to the average person. The average person today don't even believe in science at all. This is what drove me to make this video, because I see people all the time saying scientists lied to you. Oh, they're lying to you. Like, oh, science isn't real. People are switching to flat earth because they think that all scientists are lying to them. So this has to be real. And people are making money grifting people off this thing when everybody knows damn well that the earth is round. We've had this science forever. We are about to intellectually decline. We have science for a reason. It gives us all of our technology. It gives us the television or phone that you're watching this on right now. It gives us everything. It's what gave us electricity. It's what gives us our amazing construction along with math. It's what gave us our understanding of astronomy. It's how we can measure certain things, how we know how to work with the world. It's how we know how to make metals, alchemy, how we're able to blend things, create things, right? That's the magic of the world. We figured out alchemy, right? We perfected that with science. So I want to get to what happens when we stop trusting in science. Questioning science is healthy. You know why? Because science isn't to prove something, it's to disprove something. The point of the scientific method is to test all hypotheses and rule out all the ones that are false until you're left with one thing. That one thing is your theory. And that theory is what we consider the best possible agreed upon answer for that problem. Once we learn more, certain theories are going to fall apart and there will be new theories. That is science upgrading. That is science being done. So questioning science is healthy, but abandoning science is dangerous. Throughout history, civilizations advanced and observed nature and challenged old beliefs and built new knowledge. It is humanity's greatest tool for discovering how the world works. The danger isn't asking difficult questions. The danger is rejecting those questions altogether. Science built the modern world. Every major medical breakthrough stands on thousands of years of discoveries. So let's go back and look at how medical science developed. We're in the Bronze Age, 3300 BCE. Some of the world's earliest records come from this time from ancient Mesopotamia. Mesopotamian physicians documented diagnoses, symptoms, and treatments on clay tablets. They started recording observations instead of just relying on oral tradition. And physicians in ancient Egypt were performing surgery and writing medical texts on papyri describing anatomy, injuries, and treatment. For the first time in history, medicine became a thing that could be recorded. These texts mean we can study, and that means we can question and we can improve. Then we had the ancient Greek civilization, which was a scientific revolution. Disease was no longer seen by a punishment from the gods. Around 400 BC, Hippocrates argued that diseases had natural causes. He stood by observation. He placed observation over superstition. The ancient Greek physicians started carefully documenting symptoms and patient outcomes. Doctors today still swear by the Hippocratic Oath. And then the Romans took over. And the Romans really expanded the medical knowledge. We had an ancient Greek physician named Galen, who was the personal physician to Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome. Galen studied anatomy through animal dissections. He started connecting their organs with their functions, and he wrote an extensive amount of books. And his writings shaped European medicine for 1,300 years. We held up Galen's teachings up until recent history. He wasn't right about everything, but he pioneered the advancement of our medical knowledge today. Then we get into medieval times, which everybody calls the Dark Ages, but nobody talks about what was going on in the Middle East. In the Islamic Golden Age, they preserved so many ancient texts, including texts from Galen and other Roman texts, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have those books today. The Islamic scholars would take Roman and Greek texts and translate them, and they would preserve them. They would make copies, they would preserve them. They had a great library, just like Alexander. We had Ibn Sina, who wrote the Canon of Medicine. This book organized centuries of different medical texts. The Greek, Roman, and Islamic texts were considered standard for medicine all the way up into the Renaissance. During the Renaissance, anatomy was rediscovered. They started carefully dissecting human bodies. Galen wasn't allowed to work on human bodies. They didn't believe in it at the time, so he worked on animals. But during the Renaissance, they were allowed to work on the dead. These dissections corrected a lot of things in anatomy, and we really advanced the understanding of the human body. This proves that even experts can be wrong, and that is a big lesson here today. And then we invented the microscope. This led to the ability to see bacteria, which got to prove germ theory. After we saw that bacteria existed, we were able to target specific diseases. We learned about sterilization. We learned the benefits of washing your hands, which reduced childhood fever at the time. That one simple practice of washing hands saved countless lives. This is why science is so important. Scientific discoveries eventually led to vaccines against devastating diseases, antibiotics, organ transplanting, safer childbirth, longer life expectancy, and a dramatic reduction in infant mortality. Millions of lives have been saved because of science. Science is not the same as scientists. People can be wrong. The scientific method is designed to find and correct those mistakes. Scientists are humans, but governments can make mistakes, institutions can communicate poorly, financial incentives can be put on research, but the scientific method has a purpose. It depends on testing ideas, repeating the experiments, independent verification. History shows that progress comes from questioning, not abandoning science. Every life saved by antibiotics, surgery, vaccines, sanitation, anesthesia, and germ theory, they all exist because generations of scientists continued searching for better evidence. They questioned the old evidence, but they did not abandon gathering evidence altogether. This disbelief has led to a great measles outbreak today. There are more than 2,300 confirmed cases in the US. That is the largest outbreak since 1991. The MMR vaccine is one of those vaccines that saved a lot of lives. So this disbelief in science is really causing a problem and affecting our children. It is putting them at risk. So what do you think? Do you think COVID and Fauci changed the way that you view science and public health altogether? Leave your thoughts in the comment below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the most controversial topic of our time, then please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I will see you next week on the DNaz channel. Peace.